There is nothing like a morning on the Midway, followed by a celebration inside the Cotton Bowl. It's Texas OU, a game that always provides at least a little taste of the unexpected. Once again, the Sooners have the team to beat, but not by much, because the Horns roll in with a coach that can match play-calling wits with Lincoln Riley. And that man's this Texas Game Day.
OG Bun B reppin' UGK for life with KP. It's going down, baby. You know how we represent to the fullest. It's game day. Get up on your feet. Let's go. Right now is the time, y'all, and this here's the place. We coming with our A game to put it in your face. My whole team with me, and we ready for the battle. Guaranteed that we gon' give you more than you can handle.
Game day where the champions made. Make way for the rookie of the year with the swing. I'll be big Texas reppin' from the corner of the state. Bun B, hand it off to me, I'll run it all the way.
So we getting our gear ready and lacing up our shoes. We focused on competition, about to give them the blues. So close your eyes, take a deep breath and get your mind right. It's game day, baby, and we ready for the limelight.
Big rings for the team, it's game day. All eyes on the screen, it's game day. Burnt orange on the green, it's game day. Let me hear the crowd scream, it's game day.
The home squad came to play, it's game day. You ain't with us, get out the way, it's game day. You know we came here for the dub, it's game day. So if you with us, throw it up, it's game day.
You could catch me in the winner's circle often. Couple trophies in the audience applauding. Who's that new girl in the game show stopping? Top 10, the back of the jersey say poppin'.
We ready for the lights, the camera, and the action. We came here for a victory and we want satisfaction. This one for the crowd and the fans. So bring out the band, we gotta win it any way that we can. So come on.
100K and DKR, yeah, there's something to see. And if you're looking for the champ, then you're looking for me. I get paid for the game, but I'm a player for free. Up in hot as Texas heat, I'm about 100 degrees. Let me hear the crowd scream, it's game day.
Welcome to Texas Game Day, presented by St. David's Healthcare.
What time is it? Well, we know this, it's early, because we're getting set for that 11 a.m. kick in the Cotton Bowl. It's Texas Game Day, and woo, we are fired up.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just the caffeine flowing through our system, it's just the rivalry, man. Pumped up for a little Texas OU. Lowell Galindo here with Fozzie Whitaker, Michael Griffin. It's a big day because the SASUs are back on. Fozzie's still working for that endorsement deal. And we've collectively picked up our lapel game. Now, these ones we kind of get. We're representing Sonic the Hedgehog for some strange reason. And Fozzie, maybe you got some words of wisdom on how this plays into the matchup today.
Absolutely. So I'm glad that you're bringing up our lapel pins because now that we are harmonized and in sync, this is what the Texas offense and defense have to respond like.
Yeah.
You got Sonic the Hedgehog, who you are representing right now, because Texas is going to need the speed and agility to fly around the field to be able to have a chance against Oklahoma.
No gold rings, we're going for the golden hat.
Golden hat all the way. No gold coins, golden hat. I got knuckles because they're going to have to get down and dirty in the trenches, baby.
You got it.
That's where the game is going to be won and lost. And then my man Griff got tails. And with tails, you got to have those deep plays and stop them. And Tails is the only person that can go up and be able to make that happen. So that's why all three of us collectively are joined forces so that Oklahoma does not get a win today.
This is what happens when there's synergy, when we work together. It's like Texas and OU working together.
I really just want to know, did he rehearse this? Because it
No,
was like,
this
it
is
was
just.
I mean, it was a
something and it's in your heart.
I thought we was going to get to say our own reasons on why we was wearing our serpent.
Hey, look at this man right here, Lincoln Riley, cool as a cucumber. I mean, why not? This is what he does. 4-1 against Texas since you're the Oklahoma Sooners. 50 wins in 58 career games. So this dude has it locked down in Norman right now. Let's get into the implications for this game, because we always know on the base layer, it's the rivalry. Doesn't matter what's going on with both programs. They both want to beat the snot out of each other. Then, like most years, winner here inside track to win the Big 12 championship or to make the Big 12 championship game. But now you can start going deeper than that. College football playoff, certainly more on the radar for OU, and the long-term ramifications with the SEC on tap. Fazio, this is a fascinating year for this rivalry.
Absolutely, and this is kind of the first time in a long time that I feel like Texas has the firepower to match what Oklahoma brings to the table. Typically, Oklahoma has been the dominant favor in the past, 4 or 5 years in this game, and seeing that the line was only 3.5, I guess, opening up today, and seeing that a lot of people believe in what Steve Sarkisian is doing with this Texas offense, this Texas defense, the way that the new Texas looks and the way that it feels. There's a lot of energy flowing around. So this is probably going to be one of the most exciting games all year, I think, for both Oklahoma and Texas, with the implications that it can have on the Big 12 championship.
It is actually back-to-back years now that the Texas offense comes in, scoring more points per game than OU. Casey Thompson, big reason why. And we're going to see a battle of the top 2 quarterbacks in terms of QBR in the Big 12 right now. Thompson against Rattler, and that's the way it should be, Griff.
I mean, most definitely, especially going into this game in the past, it's always been the battle of the quarterbacks. Unfortunately, Sam had his tier of guys when you go to Jalen Hurts and you look at guys like Kyler Murray. But right now, you got Spencer Rattler versus Casey Thompson right now. So this should be definitely a good matchup, because we know going into this game, it's always predicated to the quarterback play. And a lot of times, whoever comes out of this game victorious seems to, spearhead themselves right into the Big 12 championship game.
Who has more on the line?
I think Spencer Rattler has more on the line, because you go into this thing, quote unquote, he was supposed to be the #1 overall pick as a quarterback coming up to this next year's draft or the year after. But again, right now, he hasn't been playing on that level right now. So I think right now he has the more on the line, because you got a guy like Bijan that's coming into the game that is the best player that's supposed to be out there today on the field. So I think Spencer Rattler has a lot to prove. He's been booed already this season. And right now he has to pick his game up if he wants to make it to the Big 12 championship and win it.
And we'll get more into that, but Rattler hasn't been bad. He's getting booed, but the dude is still legitimately one of the best quarterbacks in America.
That is true, and at the same time, I don't think everything can be attributed to what Spencer Rattler has put on tape. The offensive line for Oklahoma has not looked like the dominating beast that we're used to seeing them have, and I think that's why the offense has struggled to some degree. But you're right. What Spencer Rattler has to lose in this game if he does not perform well, all the endorsement deals that have been talking about, the NIL being a distraction, all of that will come into play if he does not perform to the way that he's supposed to.
Let's piggyback that, because let's say this. We said the offensive line is not, but we also said that due to what Texas offensive line is, you need a more mobile guy. When it's been Sam, and then right now you got Casey Thompson playing there. But let's say that, hypothetically, was the offensive line that good in the past when you got guys like Jalen Hurts and when you got guys like Kyler Murray, who was very mobile and who could use their legs and throw the ball?
How cool is this, though, for Casey Thompson? We'll have the story.
I mean, it looks kind of cool right now. Just that's a nice look right there.
But he's in his element right now. His dad, Charles, started on the opposite side of this rivalry for the Oklahoma Sooners at quarterback. His brother playing this rivalry for the Sooners as well. And now it's his turn representing the Burnt Orange, and we'll have that story coming up later. When it comes down to who does this mean more for and to, man, Oklahoma, even if they lose this game, I don't think there's a team in America that's better at responding from an early loss, especially against your rival, than the Oklahoma Sooners. Past 4 times they've lost to Texas, it's early in season. They are 27-1 in the regular season games that followed those losses. 27-1 after losing to Texas. Now, Sark hopes to put Oklahoma in that position, and this is a lot for him too. And when we said it, when the coaching change was made from Tom Herman, you brought someone else in, you had to ask the question, am I hiring, if you are Chris Del Conte, a guy that can match wits with Lincoln Riley and the offensive brilliance that he has shown? And this is a big proving point for Steve Sarkisian.
Absolutely. Whenever I look at the outfit that Coach Sark just walked in with, that swag, that type of mantra that he carries about himself, then you know you got a guy that can go head-to-head with Lincoln Riley. And really, we've seen that already play out in the course of Steve Sarkisian finding a way to get his playmakers the ball and doing it consistently over the course of a game. And I think that's one of the things that gives Sark that ability to be able to show up and create that presence of, hey, I'm an offensive guru. I'm going to show you why I'm an offensive guru, and this is how it's going to be implemented in this game plan. So I love it. Starting with the outfit and everything, man, he's ready to go.
Suit it and boot it, ready to do it.
All the way.
I mean, that's Steve Sarkisian right there. It's going to be interesting to see if this turns into two brilliant play callers matching wits, trading blows, or if this is going to end up being one of those games that's the outlier. We're all expecting the offense, and it comes down to Grinch and Kwiatkowski and the two opposing defenses. We'll see it play out, but we know this. Look at the numbers in terms of what this game means for the implications for the college football playoff and again into the Big 12 championship game as well. It's clear coming into this, Oklahoma is in a better spot. They have a 45% chance, according to ESPN and FPI, to make the college football playoff. Texas currently at 10. Now with the win, both numbers jump. For Texas, with that early season loss, they're still looking at a 19% chance to make it in. But for me, for Texas, this is more about relevancy. This is more about stating your case that, hey, don't want to go Sam Ellinger on you, but we are back. We are in the conversation. And I truly think Sark is thinking more about Big 12 championship game than the college football playoff at this point in time. Now, you mentioned the gap right now, according to Vegas, is 3.5 points. It's always relatively tight, regardless of where the two teams stand, because the odds makers know what happens in this game. But in terms of how close the programs are right now today, how would you gauge that gap?
Right now, I say the programs are very close right now. You look at both. They're struggling with the offensive line, but they both have good quarterbacks, I believe. They love to run the ball, which you see they both have. I think Bijan is definitely in his own element when it comes to the running back position. But I think both teams are very similar right now. I think this is the closest they've been in the past for God knows how, for some time now. But right now, they're both equally matched. And you see right there when Vegas is looking at the odds of only 3 points. And this game has always only been decided by literally one possession. Last year it went to, 4 overtimes?
Yeah.
Yep. So this game, it really doesn't matter what anybody. These teams, it doesn't matter what the record shows. They both go into this game ready to play, and it always comes down to the end.
I think whenever we talked about this in our meeting, too, this was supposed to be Oklahoma's season to be able to dominate, right? They're supposed to be Big 12 champions basically outright before any game was even played. They're supposed to be an automatic buy-in into the college football playoffs, and we've seen them struggle early on. But at the same time, Texas didn't have the same expectations as what Oklahoma was having. And then seeing how those expectations starting to meet up. Oklahoma's way up here, Texas kind of down here. As the season's played out, it looks like they are getting a lot closer to each other. And I think this game is going to be an indication of how close the gap is, because I think it'll be a one-score, one-possession type game like they have been for the past 7-8 years.
But really, it's Texas. They are the program that needs to live up to their end of the bargain in this rivalry, because since Lincoln Riley arrived as a play caller for Bob Stoops and then took over, I mean, you're talking about a team that's been to the college football playoff in 3 of the past 4 years, and Texas is still just battling to get a little bit more relevancy in the Big 12 race. But this game, the great equalizer, all comes down to having a great player. Texas certainly has one of those in Bijan Robinson. Now, he carried the load for Texas, really, I don't want to say single-handedly, but he was a difference maker in being able to get that win against TCU. But give the overall program credit as they go to Fort Worth and get their first win in Fort Worth since 2013. So as we go to that game, it was ugly, it was sloppy, but Texas got the win. So what kind of concerns do you have coming after that victory?
I think the biggest concerns for me is just the fact that Texas reached the red zone had so many opportunities, but they was walking away with field goals. I mean, TCU was kind of just handing them the game, but they just couldn't finish drives, especially after that play right there in this play. It only ended up being field goals. And that's when you see, if you want to beat the better teams, when you want to be more dominant when it comes to the Big 12 or in the future going to SEC, you got to be able to finish those drives and get 6 points instead of 3 points.
Whenever I look at it, man, they have to be able to push the ball downfield. If you want to beat a team like Oklahoma, you got to be able to have an advantage through the air. And Texas, for whatever reason, this entire season has not found a way to push the ball deep. On balls 20-plus yards, they are very minimal in the completion percentage.
They're about like 23%.
Oh, yeah. And they only have a QBR of 10. So I think the problem so far with them, and the biggest concern that I see that's been ongoing, not just in TCU, but throughout the entire season, is the lack of the deep ball threat that Texas has been able to try to stretch the field with.
Crazy thing is, Spencer Rattler and OU, they've been even worse when it comes to those passes 20 yards downfield. It's close. It's like 20% for Rattler and Oklahoma, and they certainly have the receivers to break out at any moment. So it is a scary matchup. So what is one thing that we need to see from Texas? They need to do well to give them a realistic shot in this game. What would that be?
For me, I look at what Oklahoma has and kind of where they are most dominant at, and it's their defensive line. The three guys, Perrion Winfrey, Nick Bonito, Isaiah Thomas, they get after the quarterback. And for Texas to be successful in this game today, they got to be able to protect Casey in the drop back passes. Last year, in this game alone, Oklahoma was able to garner 6 sacks against Texas. That is not a winning recipe for Texas. Now, it did go into 4 overtimes, but that's still not a winning recipe. So you got to be able to protect Casey in the pocket to be able to make him an efficient passer and allow them to push the ball down the field.
Well, I look at what Texas has been doing. They've been similar to bend but don't break defense, and this is apparently it's just been working. Everybody's been doing their jobs. When you look at this defense, you're questioning, like, who's the playmaker, who's the guy on this team? But the one thing you see is collectively, they play very well together. They keep everything in front of them. So going forward, if they continue to do that, you're allowing your offense to continue to have chances to stay in this game. Even look at the Arkansas game going into halftime. Texas still had an opportunity to get back into that game. Unfortunately, they couldn't on the offense side of the ball, but the defense fought hard enough to allow them to be able to stay in this game.
Hey, the key is always going to be the guy wearing number 5.
Oh, yeah.
Feed the beast, Bijan Robinson. And that really is the guy that's been the difference for Texas. There are still holes in this roster. They lack depth in a lot of different spots. And the last time out against a really, really good team in Arkansas, they didn't look all that great. They got waxed, but the one guy that gives them a chance and changes the complexion of this program is Bijan Robinson. How can one guy change not just a team, but the direction that a program is going, in this case, Bijan?
Man, whenever I break down his game and what he's able to do, man, he's just an unbelievable stud. He's always being that guy that never gets tackled on the first person that hits him. He's never going down on the first contact. He's always in the best position to be able to make a play. Even if the play is dead in the backfield, he finds a way to gain positive yardage. And whenever you have somebody explosive like that, it takes a lot of pressure off of Casey. I said the offense runs through Bijan, and that's the key. That is the key right there. The offense has to run through Bijan, and he got to continue to be explosive and to be that difference maker if Texas has an opportunity to go further than just beating Oklahoma but winning the Big 12 championship.
Well, the thing I really love about the fact is that when you find that guy, you find ways to give him the ball. And the one thing that he really brings to the table is that you can line him up anywhere. You can line him at the wide receiver position. You can line him up in the backfield. I mean, you could do so many different things with him. I'm sure if you want to put him at kickoff return or punt return, you could do those type of things too. But the thing is, and then things you don't really notice is he will block. When Roshan comes in the game, he will come in the game and he blocks. He's a selfless player. So that's what you love about him. And you can see as an offensive line, you love to play with guys like this because you know if I could just hold my block for 1.5 seconds, he's going to do the rest. And you saw that he did that versus TCU.
And you know, as the season goes on, more and more people start catching on to, hey, we got to slow down number 5. Sark is going to get even more creative. So I'm curious to see if we see him line up in different spots in this game to make sure he gets the football if Oklahoma tries to take it away on the ground. Now, when you watch Bijan, it's a work of art. Like every time he touches the football, some guys, it's just the 50-yard runs, the 40-yard runs that make you go, wow. Bijan can take a tackle for loss into a 5-yard gain, and it's beautiful. It's a masterpiece, and it makes you say, we just witnessed something special. Kind of the under-the-radar plays with Bijan. What are those ones that you've seen that don't catch the highlights but still make you appreciate his talent?
I think the biggest thing for me was the last game when you look at it was 3rd and 6, and most guys would say, hey, as a quarterback, hey, we're going to throw. If you don't see anybody open, just, take the sack or whatever it is, keep the clock running. But what they did was, hey, we believe that you can get this first down. And that's exactly what he did. And that's the thing that you love about this guy. It may not look so, great or whatnot, but it's the fact that he literally ended the game on his own with 2 carries, despite the fact that was, 36 and 37 times that he had the ball in his hands. That's a lot of carries, or that's a lot of times of getting the ball.
I mean, dude's got his leg wrapped up, and he's still driving with one leg to the first down marker. Unreal.
Absolutely, absolutely. And piggybacking off of Griff, the most impressive run, and this is kind of over the series of the game, is Bijan takes the defensive will away. I look at this one guy in particular, number 20, Van Zant for TCU, all right? Bijan gets this ball in the first quarter, right? Good play, and then all of a sudden, he pushes Bijan at the end as if he did something. Okay, Bijan says, I got you. Second quarter, all right? We're going to see what you do. One-on-one matchup. Here we go. Meet me in the hole. What do? I don't think I really want that contact, says number 20. And Bijan slips right on through and says, okay, I get 6 yards. All right, here we go. Third quarter now. Let's see what you want to do. One-on-one in a hole again. How do you fare? Wow. I'm not wanting any part of this, number 20 says, and Bijan goes for an additional 5 yards. This is what makes Bijan so special. He takes the will away from the defense to even want to hit him as a free hitter.
That's my favorite play right there.
Can I piggyback the fact he didn't want no action? He closed his eyes. He did this.
Yeah. He just went in like that and didn't even see what he wanted to get.
He didn't get the shoulder down. He closed his eyes and did this.
But that last example, right? Like Bijan has his torso parallel to the ground.
Yep.
And he's just a couple feet off the ground, and he stays up through contact. Give us some perspective on just how difficult that is to do.
That's extremely difficult. Number one, dealing with a free hitter at the line of scrimmage, that could have been a 0-yard or a 1-yard loss if that tackler gets him down. But Bijan is so special. He turns that into a 6-7 yard play that keeps the offense on schedule. But just from the physical standpoint of being able to make a miss and then stay on your feet on top of that, it's extremely difficult. And there are not a lot of people that can do that. And you barely even see that at the next level. Yeah. Whenever we're talking about guys that are that explosive and dynamic, whenever they get the ball with just a yard of separation of space to be able to make a guy miss. So this guy is really special. Those two plays, they do it justice, but not enough, because that's what he does on a regular basis each and every play in every game.
Yeah, carry in, carry out. Bijan Robinson making the magic happen. Coming into the season, the best player, maybe in college football, specifically in this game, was supposed to be Spencer Rattler. Is Bijan Robinson now the best player in this game?
I would say Bijan is the best player in the game because he makes the best happen with what he has. You look at Spencer Rattler and you see the quarterbacks in the past, they always had a supporting cast when it came to wide receivers. CeeDee Lamb, even Hollywood Brown when it comes with Kyler Murray and when it comes with Jalen Hurts. But you see right now, Bijan, you have a young quarterback at the helm. You also have young receivers at the helm. You have a new head coach at the helm, a young offensive line. Everything around you is young, not to mention you're still young. You don't have a whole season under your belt outside splash plays here and there last season. So I would say going to this game, yes, because each and every week you make positive things happen.
I think Bijan definitely is the better player in this game. And Spencer Rattler obviously had the hype that we talked about, potential #1 draft pick, potential everything this season. But Bijan is proving day in and day out why he's considered one of the best players just in America with the impact that he creates on the game. Last week, if Texas does not have a Bijan on the roster, I'm not quite sure they pull that game off. And no offense to Roshan, but Bijan is just a whole nother animal. And I think Oklahoma can find a way to get around some of the mishaps that Spencer Rattler has. We've seen the Tulane game. We've seen him against West Virginia. You know, he didn't perform his best, but they still find a way to win. Whenever Bijan does not perform, or if he doesn't have the opportunity to perform, Texas loses. And I think that's where the biggest difference is that Texas has to have Bijan going if they want to be successful, which is why I think he's the most impactful and best player in this game.
I'm still a little surprised that there's not more NIL deals, like the major ones for Bijan Robinson right now, because he's everything that you want in a student athlete right now. A great person, great public image, and an amazing football player. But you perform in this game, maybe Fletcher's Corn Dogs comes calling. You get some more sponsorship opportunities. But this is what we love. We love the Cotton Bowl, the State Fair, and this rivalry, Texas-Oklahoma. There's another guy that loves everything about this. Even though it's his first time in this rivalry, it's the head coach, Steve Sarkisian, who earlier caught up with Alex Loeb.
Coach, I know you said you want to see your team play with emotion, but not play emotional and out of control today. How have you prepared them to do that?
Well, we just got right back into our routine. I think that everything we do has a purpose. We're intentional with what we do. We trust our process. We trust our routine, and just making sure the players believed it. And I think the last 3 weeks have been helpful for us on that front. Quieting the noise and the distractions outside and focus on the task at hand.
Obviously, it's no secret their defense is going to be focused on Bijan in the run game. How do you plan to counteract that offensively?
Well, we need to play complementary football. We need to find ways to – obviously, we're not going to not give him the ball. We got to find ways to get him space. We need to play well on the perimeter and make sure that we're doing a good job controlling the line of scrimmage.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
And we need Stark suit guy. Not sure we can afford it, but at least need to have the conversation. Maybe they got some discounted rates for us.
NIL.
There we go. Texas Game Day is coming up at the half. Texas Game Day final after the game right here on LHN. Just getting rolling on this rivalry edition of Texas Game Day. Coming up is Bijan Robinson. The bee's knees, that's what is in focus after carrying the ball 35 times against TCU. Hear what Gary Patterson had to say about that. And can Texas get to Spencer Rattler? The OU quarterback has been solid at best. Are we waiting for him to break out? And Casey Thompson, how Texas found its quarterback deep inside enemy territory.
Living here in Oklahoma, you're taught to kind of hate the other side of the Red River.
Growing up, I despised him. I obviously never thought that I'd be wearing burnt orange.
Texas Game Day.
Texas, the level of intensity that the game will be played at, the stadium is going to be split in half. The State Fair outside, everything's just going to be amplified.
When you run out the tunnel, it's literally half orange, half maroon, red.
It's like boo, and then it's just screams of cheers, and it's exciting. When you're doing good, you're going to get cheers. And then when you're doing bad, you're going to get cheers from the other team. There's nothing like it.
And you come to Texas for these types of games. It's a big game, not only for the football team, but for other sports too, the whole university.
Whoever wins this game have the bragging rights for the rest of the year.
Nothing like that tunnel. Just being there, working Texas Game Day when we used to be on location, we would get heckled going through that tunnel, and you guys have experienced that firsthand as players.
Absolutely. Man, it's awesome going through that tunnel. You're sitting there.
Oh, yeah.
And the opposing team is right there coming out the locker room, and you just sizing each other up, and it's game time. When you're coming through that tunnel, as soon as you come through there, just everybody's yelling, screaming. It's awesome.
Let's get to meet the Oklahoma Sooners. Spencer Rattler, the trigger man, just a sophomore, leads the Big 12 in total offense. Second in the bowl subdivision, completing 76% of his passes. So let's not pretend like he's not a good quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
Stop the boos. Let Texas boo him, not OU fans, right? Then you got Kennedy Brooks out last year with COVID concerns, trying for his third 1,000-yard season. Not as explosive as we've seen him in previous years. And then the top receiver, Marvin Mims, 14 catches, leads the team with 264 yards. Big play guy, 18.9 yards per catch. And then the defense is salty. Nick Benito, preseason first-team All-American, led the bowl subdivision in pressure rate last season, 2.5 sacks this year. That will be a concern for this Texas offensive line. And the list gets longer and longer because the other guys that are going to get to the quarterback are pretty distinguished as well. Isaiah Thomas, 17.5 tackles for loss since the start of last season. And then Perion Winfrey, a great start to the year with 3.5 sacks. So this is an Alex Grinch defense that is really, really good once again. And every year they've added to their success. And we mentioned Winfrey. Alex Loeb is now joining us live from the Cotton Bowl. And you got more because nice little connection with the University of Texas there.
I was going to say, this is a guy who Texas fans would love to forget about. Winfrey is the guy who last year on this very field behind me blocked Cameron Dicker's go-ahead field goal attempt in the third overtime of that contest. But he'll once again be on the field today going up against the Longhorn squad that he almost ended up playing for. 2 years ago, Winfrey was the #1 JUCO player in the nation, and Texas was among his list of finalists. In fact, at one point, he reportedly said Texas is like family. But a few weeks after making making that statement, he turned his back on the family and ended up signing with Oklahoma. And he's been a beast for the Sooners. This year, Pro Football Focus has him rated as the #1 interior pass rusher in the Big 12. And he won't be hard to spot today. This is a guy who, for big games like this one, likes to wear thigh pads that have Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees on them. And this is October, so we'll see in honor of Halloween if Winfrey does just that.
Yeah, it's all about the accoutrement with the outfits, right? The little touches there. My favorite is when they did the gold, right?
Yeah.
Oh, the gold details on the cleats on the jersey.
That was pretty dope.
That needs to be done every year. Alex, oh, there he goes. Bye, Alex. We'll hear from Alex coming up later in the show. In terms of what Oklahoma has done, keep in mind, this team has not lost since the game before this rivalry a season ago. So it's 13 straight wins for this Oklahoma team. So even though some people are saying, hey, they're struggling, they continue to win football games. So let's get into the path to this game for the Oklahoma Sooners. We go to the marquee matchup against Nebraska. And this is a game where Nebraska trailed by 11 late in the third quarter. Adrian Martinez, though, gets the score on the extra point attempt. However, it's blocked, and they get the return. So that's 2 points for Oklahoma, and momentum completely erased.
Oh, man, most definitely. I mean, that's what special teams can do in a game.
Kennedy Brooks finding himself into the end zone. Oklahoma with the lead 23-9. Less than 6 minutes left. A little late comeback. Martinez to Omar Manning. Huskers cut the deficit to 7. They would get the football back. But on this final stretch here, Oklahoma would get to Martinez twice. So the defense flexed it a little bit here. Not the prettiest win, but a win against a rivalry team. And Oklahoma takes it 23-16. And then you got the game against West Virginia. There was a touchdown early. And then it was just field goals after this. Gabe Burchick, Casey Lay, trading kicks. West Virginia went up 13-10. Offensively, Spencer Rattler mounted a key drive when Oklahoma needed it the most, and it set up this, the game winner from Burchick, and Oklahoma gets the win 16-13. Close call, but a win nonetheless. And then another close call against Kansas State. Keep in mind the Wildcats had defeated the Oklahoma Sooners in the previous 2 years. That's Jeremiah Hall, 1 yard score. Oklahoma up by 17. Skylar Thompson to Landry Webb. Here comes the comeback. A 10-point deficit for the Wildcats. Special teams always effective for K-State. Malik Knowles, 93 yards for the touchdown. But on the next kickoff, we go for the onside kick, and they want to get it. OU recovers, able to run out the clock from there. So it is a team that certainly has been challenged, but they keep finding ways to win. And the teams that they are being challenged against, I mean, they're good teams. They're solid teams. That's Kansas State with Deuce Vaughn and Skylar Thompson. Nebraska's a rivalry game. West Virginia has been pretty good this season so far. So what do you make of Oklahoma to this point in terms of, yeah, they're getting the wins, but it's not like they're firing on all cylinders yet?
Yeah, I think they've been playing very inconsistent. And like you talked about, they've gotten the wins. They're undefeated right now, but it doesn't inspire a ton of confidence whenever Oklahoma fans are viewing the tape. And you look at the close win against West Virginia, where West Virginia literally gave that game away. They had 2 plays. One was a drop touchdown in the back of the end zone. You had another opportunity where they didn't capitalize in the red zone, and that game could have went another way. Now, the Kansas State game, it looked a little bit different at the end because it got closer, but Oklahoma kind of had it in hand. But the thing that's probably stood out the most to me is that Spencer Rattler has not taken care of the football enough, in my opinion. He's thrown a pick against West Virginia, threw a pick against Kansas State as well, and I think turning the ball over has been a difference maker for this Oklahoma team.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just look at this Oklahoma team is not as explosive as they used to be when it comes to the explosive playmakers. Spencer Rattler's been having a little rough time here, like you said, turning the balls over, trying to drive the ball downfield. But the one thing is, like you said, Louis, they're continuing to find ways to win, despite the fact that teams are trying to get back into it and trying to make a close run at the end, but they're still finding ways to win, except for West Virginia when they were able to kick the field goal. And that's what scares you about Spencer Rattler.
Yeah.
He can turn it on. Yeah. It's just he will make mistakes, but then he can turn it on at any given moment. So that's why you don't know what Spencer Rattler going to get at any given time. Even last year, we were like, okay, he's turning the ball over. He's getting roughed up. And then he Mordecai comes in.
Yeah, that was
We're like,
yeah.
okay, we got a shot. And the next thing you know, he comes back in, and now he's all-star again. So that's the thing. You don't know what Spencer Rattler you're going to get.
You know, though, it's just a matter of time before this Oklahoma offense blows up and starts producing the big points again, because you don't recruit offensively like Lincoln Riley does, have the play calling acumen that Lincoln Riley has, and have a mediocre offense. For Texas fans, you just hope and pray that breakout doesn't come today in the Cotton Bowl. Here is Lincoln Riley with Holly Rowe.
Well, Coach Riley, you have been here before in this game. It's going to be real this time, I guess, because the fans will be back. It'll feel so big. What do you need to see from your team today?
I think just be consistent. You know, we've had moments of brilliance. We've had moments where we've been inconsistent this year, and this game, as any, can give you a great opportunity, I think, to be a great springboard for the second half of the season.
Spencer Rattler told us this week that this game last year, the 4 overtime game, where he had to have a little timeout during the game because of interceptions, it turned around for him, and he has really grown and matured. What do you see from him from that moment?
Yeah, I do think he's grown a lot. I mean, you can't always simulate these moments and what they're like, especially in this game and in this rivalry. So I think to have the confidence to be able to battle back when things weren't going well has been something that he carried throughout the rest of last season and certainly into this season as well.
Thanks. Have a great time today.
All right, well, thanks all.
That's a dude right there. Here's another one, Bijan Robinson in beach mode. How can Oklahoma start to try to slow him down, and will it work? Because Gary Patterson tried to slow him down last week. Called a timeout, too, that made Michael Griffin say, "Good Griff, Patterson, what are you doing?"
You're watching Texas Game Day, presented by St. David's Healthcare.
Shifting in motion, the tight end. Jared Wiley, first down. Robinson shook off 2 tackles, turns it outside. Say goodnight to this one. Bijan Robinson takes it in, a 27-yard touchdown run.
Bijan Robinson might be the greatest player I've been around in my life. He upholds himself with so much humility, smiles all the time, and I mean, he's an insane football player.
That kid's came in and worked since he got here, so it's been fun to see his growth. I mean, coming in as a freshman from Arizona to becoming one of the best backs in the country, it's been fun to see.
Quickness and just his overall balance. His athleticism is unmatched, and I truly think that it's God-given. That young man is blessed with having good traits, both on and off the field. He does a great job of just being humble about it, and so I would say those attributes make Bijan Robinson special.
Hey, forgive us if we get a little too excited when we start talking about number 5, because this is a program with great tradition and history when it comes to the running back spot. But over the previous 13 seasons, just once have we been able to talk about a 1,000-yard rusher. And it wasn't even just 1,000. It was the big one. It was 2,000 by Deontay Foreman. So once again, Bijan Robinson having that type of season that gets us feeling good and gets us talking about historical context. Here is Alex Loeb on exactly the significance of Bijan's torrid start.
Texas may be known as DBU, but when it comes to producing star running backs, not many schools can claim a better resume. The latest example, Bijan Robinson, who is on a historic pace in his breakout second season. Through the first 14 games of his career, Robinson already has more total yards and touchdowns than Ricky Williams and Earl Campbell had through their initial 14 contests. Delving further, as we look into Ricky and Earl's Heisman-winning campaigns, Bijan Robinson has more yards and touchdowns than the Tyler Rose had through his first 5 games of 1977. But Robinson is still well off of Ricky's magical pace that he set in 1998, when he had already amassed 1,000 yards and 20 touchdowns by this point in the season.
Touchdown, Ricky Williams.
In addition to the Heismans, there have been 4 Doak Walker winning seasons awarded to Texas players who were deemed the top running back in the nation. The last time it happened was 2016 when Deontay Foreman took home the honor, but Bijan is currently ahead of Foreman's pace as far as total yards are concerned. Before that, it was Cedric Benson winning the Doak Walker in 2004. He had just 90 more yards through the first 5 games than Robinson currently has.
And finally, Ricky Williams captured the award twice in 1997 and 98. And right now, Robinson is slightly ahead of Ricky's numbers that he put up in 1997. Suffice to say that through nearly the first half of the 2021 season, Bijan Robinson is in rarefied air.
Doak Walker will take care of itself, right? You keep putting up big numbers, Bijan's going to have that in the bag. If you want to start talking about the Heisman, being like Earl, being about Ricky, you do that in this game coming up, Texas and OU. This is where you become a legend. The thing that dropped our jaw was what stat listening there?
20 touchdowns in 5 games.
Ricky had 20 touchdowns in 5 games. His first 5 games of the season.
Nuts.
20 touchdowns.
That's nuts.
4 touchdowns a game.
We got to see how many carries he had.
I mean, but that season he was averaging, probably 40 carries a game, I would say. And then the game against Texas A&M, he was up around 50. I mean, it was crazy. But it was Mac Brown being smart, realizing if I'm going to turn this thing around, I'm going to give the football to the best player in America. And Sark's kind of in the same position right now with Bijan.
I guess you could say, Coach Patterson, that it's really not that bad to do that, because they then go on senior year and go into the National Football League and have a great career.
It makes some money.
Absolutely.
So you want to get into that? Do you want to get into that real quick? What you're talking about with Gary Patterson?
Yeah, we can get into that.
Okay, so Gary Patterson had his TCU defense get run over by Bijan Robinson last week. And then he was asked following the game about Bijan Robinson and the workload. And he had some choice words. These were his comments, quote, "I would never do 35 carries like they did for the guy at Texas if you want to last 4 years."
You have been here before in this
There's
game.
a couple of
It's gonna be
points
real
to
this
get
time,
into
I
here.
guess, because
First, you should know his name.
Oh, you got to know.
Absolutely.
Your whole defense knows his name.
You should know his name.
He just torched you for 200+ yards.
And we ain't talking 4 years. we ain't talking 4 years.
At all.
What do you make of those comments, though, Griff?
I mean, literally, if he lost Quentin Johnson before half, and he didn't think that his best player was not his running back afterwards, I guarantee if he knew he could win that game by handing that ball off, he would have did that. His running back had 100 yards rushing with 18 carries, I believe. You telling me that if you wouldn't give him just 10 more, the game might have been a little bit different, but instead, you opted out of that and you tried to do something different.
He used to run Aaron Green, 30 carries. He's had running backs.
Did he forget LaDainian Tomlinson?
Yeah.
You didn't run him? Come on, this
previous era, but yeah.
I mean, literally, you're just gonna say you're gonna say, quote unquote, that you never ran any running backs over the course of your coaching career, 30-some yards.
It's also one of those deals. It's like your family, right? I can talk all the junk I want about my family, but the moment you start talking about my family, now we've got issues.
It's a problem.
So it's like, don't even go there. Don't even go there.
I mean,
with Bijan Robinson.
just go to the next week, because you had SMU, they ran the ball all over you, then came back. Just go fix your rush defense problems. Just stay out the media. Don't worry about singing any more songs if that's what you like to do. And just focus on your run defense, because we said going into this game, Bijan's about to have a field day running against this defense. And he did. And literally, Sarkisian did what any smart coach would do and just say, hey, you're stopping our pass offense, but hey, you can't stop our rushing offense. So let's just keep handing the ball off. And that's what they did.
I got to look at it from a recruiting standpoint. As an athlete, as a player, and as a running back, whenever I see those words by Patterson and I see how many carries Zach Evans had and I see that versus what Bijan had, in my mind, I'm like, I'm trying to go to Texas because they're going to let me spin. They're going to give me an opportunity to showcase my abilities over and over again, whereas whenever TCU had Zach Evans in crucial times, they were rotating out. Zach Evans didn't have the opportunity to create a big enough impact. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, Coach Patterson is not trying to really utilize me to the best of my abilities. let me go ahead and go with somebody that sees my potential and will utilize and maximize me so that I can go to the next level, which is my ultimate goal.
Well, I say that to say because we said going into the game, which running back would you rather have? And we both knew they was just as good as one another. Like coming out of high school, they was evenly matched type players. So we both knew what type of caliber players they were. We saw watching film, hey, listen, Texas better stop Zach Evans because he's a really good running back. He can make things happen. And he did make things happen. But I just didn't understand how you got away once Quentin Johnson got out the game, how you just didn't say, hey, let's get to who my next playmaker is. And that's what Sarkisian did. He tried to drive the ball downfield. He tried to get Xavier Worthy the ball. It wasn't working. So what he did was, hey, I'm going to give Bijan the ball.
And when you read in between the lines of that quote, it's essentially Gary Patterson accusing Steve Sarkisian of being reckless with Bijan Robinson's workload and not having any thought or care about his health. Well, first off, I think you would attest to this. College running backs, they want the football. In this day and age where it's running back by committee, you may get 15 touches on a good day. If you got 35, you probably wouldn't be complaining about it.
Absolutely.
And second, Sark knows Bijan and his workload and the work that he's put in the condition that he's in. It's not a guess. Like, he knows his guys and what they're capable of carrying.
Absolutely, and that's probably the biggest thing is that Sark isn't going to give Bijan the ball 37 carries each and every week. This was a case-by-case basis where Bijan was called upon because he was needed in this instant, but up to this point, Bijan hasn't had more than, 24 carries in a game? So it's not as if he's being worked this entire time. This was just a one-time thing, which could happen in the future, but it's not necessarily the end of the world because he knows his players and, like you said, the condition that they're in and what they can do.
And he still sprinkled in Roshan. He still sprinkled in other guys. So it's not like I just
But you got to do what you got to do.
But he did. I'm just saying, he was
do.
still taking care of him. He still sprinkled in Roshan there because Roshan had a couple of carries in there also, despite. So technically, your rush defense was not good, and Sarkisian just attacked it, and that's literally what he did. Unfortunately, one guy got the ball majority of the time, but again, that's what Sarkisian did. He attacked that. It wasn't about technically doing anything with Bijan. It was more what was the game plan and how are we going to win this football game.
Ready for good griff?
Of course.
Let's get it. Let's get after it. What good griff?
Good griff. Well, guys, here we go. Patterson, we're still talking about you. He runs all the way down the sideline, calls a timeout after T.J. Carter had a questionable hit on Whittington. But Patterson, you did more than good. Way more than good. If you want to answer a quote right now, you need to quote and go find T.J. Carter and tell him, I apologize because I got you out of the game with a targeting call and you're going to be out.
Because it was that timeout that the officials went and looked at the targeting call.
You did more harm than you did good. Yeah. The fact that he ran, a 30-yard, 40-yard sprint to get a timeout because we got 9 guys on the field versus a punt. Like, it's if we
that
don't
was momentum, too. Texas comes down and scores a touchdown.
Right after. It really did, but congratulations, Coach Patterson.
Hey, it's been a rough go. It's been a rough week for him. I mean, good griff, and then you got Bijan, and you got trying to tackle the guy, which has proven to be very, very difficult to do because Bijan is very slippery in the backfield. He's got the shakes. He's got the moves as well. So good luck when you try to tackle Bijan Robinson, and you see what this means with this matchup here. 50 missed tackles forced by Bijan, the first. That's the best mark in the ball subdivision. Oklahoma defensively, 3.6. That's their missed tackle rate. So that means they don't miss a lot of tackles, and that is the best in the ball subdivision. So it's going to be interesting to see that dynamic head-to-head.
Yeah, somebody's going to have to give, right? And I would say that the defenders against Bijan is the one that'll give before Bijan gives, just from what we've seen Bijan be able to do. He can make anybody miss. It doesn't matter if you're a D lineman, a linebacker, or a defensive back. Bijan just finds a way to get you to miss a tackle, and I think this will be a testament to what he can do against, like you said, the best team that tackles in open field one-on-one or gang tackles without breaking tackles. It'll be a good test.
Let's get some game day guarantees going. You want to?
Let's
Little
do it.
Bijan Robinson in focus here. Game day guarantee presented by Omni Barton Creek Resort and Spa. We start off with how many touches for Bijan Robinson? Coming off 37 touches against TCU, 35 carries, 2 catches. Fozzie, what do you got?
Offense runs through Bijan. I'm going to keep saying it until the rest of the year.
Yeah,
but
you're right.
I think it won't be as many touches as 37. I'm going to go with 29. They're going to rely on Bijan to be able to get this offense rolling, and he will be the catalyst for Texas's offense.
I'm going to go with 25 today just because I think Casey's probably got that little, that little funk out of him right now. So I'm going to go with 25 right now. You're going to see some little bit of other players getting the ball or wherever because you're going to definitely try to have to expose this OU secondary.
Give me 26 touches for Bijan Robinson.
Really?
And I really feel, I got to play the game, man. I got to keep you in last place. I really feel like we're going to see more creativity in getting him involved in the pass game because there's one thing Alex Grinch wants to do, take away his ability to cause havoc on the ground. So give me 26 touches for Bijan Robinson. Now, he's getting help because the O-line has been better, specifically when it comes to run blocking. You hate to say it, there's an issue on the left side of the offensive line. Outside of that, though, they played really well against TCU, and you like what they did when it comes to blocking for the ground game.
Absolutely. Ever since the Arkansas game, this offensive line and identity has created a new identity about run blocking. You look at Junior Angular here on this single back power play. Boom, he hits the point of attack, and then you see guys getting up to the second level, and there's a hat on a hat. Bijan's able to get one-on-one with the safeties, and that's what you always want with a guy like Bijan. Check out this push by the right side of the offensive line. It is a massive hole that allowed Bijan to do what Bijan does, make people miss, and then go score on that 27-yard touchdown. They've been unbelievable in that aspect. This is the best play of the game for me. Jake Majors, he gets knocked off his block, does a complete 180 and still picks up his tackle. He still picks him up on the block.
Awesome.
That's extremely hard to do. You lose your eyes on him, and he's able to get there. And then finally, you look at it in the fourth quarter, whenever you have to run the ball, you got to get guys hats on hats and let Bijan do what he does, and that's what he did there.
I don't know if any player offensively has had more growth since the start of the season than Jake Majors at center.
Absolutely.
He's had a huge turnaround. It's going to be a new look on the offensive line. No Denzel Okafor. He will undergo season-ending surgery on a lower leg injury, according to Sark in his press conference on Monday. That procedure will happen next week. Just wish the best for Okafor. He's played for a very long time here at the University of Texas, played some key parts on the O-line, so it's been a pleasure and a lot of joy to watch him play on that offensive line. You see the fans, they are fired up. We've been fired up since kicking this bad boy off at 9 a.m. It's Texas and OU. This is how we do it. We got more coming up on Texas Game Day. All the sights and sounds leading up. And, of course, the marquee matchup because you got two electric quarterbacks. It is Rattler. It is Thompson. Who's got the upper hand? We'll break it down with the marquee matchup. And it's a shutdown D. Both defenses can say that now, but Texas identifying an offense's strength and taking it away. We'll let you know how.
Spencer Rattler has a great arm. He's a guy that likes 6'10", plays, and he's going to get it into tiny little spaces.
Rattler throws it downfield. He caught it! Wow!
He's a very good quarterback, makes plays with his feet. With that type of offense, it's always going to be a tough game.
All I know is I go hard and I put in that work. Quick slant pass, caught, touchdown. A strike from Spencer Rattler.
Spencer has a great throwing motion. He's smooth with his mechanics. I think he does a good job of making off-platform throws. He does a great job of throwing on the move as well.
The guy is a top quarterback in this upcoming draft.
And the quarterbacks are the focus of the marquee matchup presented by St. David's Healthcare. Griff, take it away.
Hey, first thing first, we have Spencer Rattler right here. He gets in the shotgun. He's here. He sees nobody open. He's looking downfield. He has this little Aaron Rodgers to him right here. He likes to always escape the pocket. He comes to the right, throws it off balance, but he delivers a strike right here for the comeback right on the sideline. Right here, you got to be prepared for this. He does have a little bit of running mobility. He's a little bit mobile quarterback right here. He sees the pressure coming. He comes up, but he does not like contact. He loves the slide. So, Texas, you got to be cautious of this. Right here, again, last year, if you give him time, he can deliver a strike downfield. So you have to be ready and not leaving these holes open. Casey, right here, thing that he does great. When you give him some time and you design some great plays up for him right here, he delivers a strike right here to Xavier Worthy right here. Only Xavier Worthy can get this ball. We still don't know who he was throwing the ball to. Right here, he rolls out right here. No one's open. Makes one guy misses. Right there, you see Wiley's wide open, but hey, I don't want to give you the ball right here. Ducks underneath. He can definitely run a lot better. He's a more physical runner. You saw him versus Arkansas. So again, today he needs to use more of his legs outside of always trying to throw the ball. And again, right here, he throws the over ball right here to Jordan Whittington. Great catch by Whittington. But again, to see that he's going to be open and on the left side of the field is going to be open. He throws a nice ball right here that only Whittington can catch. Great catch by Whittington. But today, it's going to be the battle of the quarterbacks. We know in the past, it's always been about the quarterbacks when it comes into this game. I know it goes through Bijan. But today, he's going to need Batman is going to need Robin to help him out today.
Hey, top two quarterbacks in the Big 12 in terms of QBR. You go back to Colt and Bradford, like this is the way it should be, right?
Yeah.
The best quarterbacks in the Big 12 should be playing for these two teams. You bring up some of those plays, though. Thompson's got a great feel for the pocket, the way he slides around. Rattler, when you watch him on tape, it doesn't seem like he likes pressure and does as good of a job moving around.
Yeah, he looks very uncomfortable, and I talked about the issues that Oklahoma has had at the offensive line position, and I think Rattler being uneasy in the pocket can be attributed directly to that. He's experienced a little more pressure than what he's used to it, and that, I think, makes him uneasy and quick to get out of the pocket faster or have happy feet in the pocket.
Yeah, and that's the one thing you see right there where he gets out of the pocket just a little too early sometimes. Sometimes it's like he's a little nervous, like he doesn't want to get. I say he's scared, but it's like any other quarterback. You don't want to get hit by no defenders. You don't want that. So the one thing that you notice with him is that he avoids the pocket very quickly. He loves to escape out. He loves to throw. For some reason, he doesn't want to plant his feet and throw. He loves to throw with the awkward motions, but that's what he can do because he's athletic enough to do that.
He's completed 37 of his last 41 attempts going back to the end of the West Virginia game. So the dude can sling it. But when you watch him and when things are sped up intentionally, like late against Kansas State and West Virginia when he had to start moving the football with tempo and he was getting the ball out quick, he looks significantly better when he gets the ball out than when he holds. And part of it is, you guys have mentioned, the playmakers are not there at receiver like they used to be. And it was like watching the Texas receivers maybe a little earlier in the season when they struggled to get open. I don't know how much his receivers are helping him in terms of getting open downfield.
Yeah, I was thinking Marvin Mims was going to be the go-to guy after what he was able to do last season. And it seems like he's still their leading receiver, but they haven't really been as explosive as we typically see in Oklahoma offense. Being Austin Stogner is still one of his favorite go-to targets, Spencer Rattler's favorite go-to targets, but it just, for whatever reason, they haven't had those explosive plays and droves like we've seen and been accustomed to seeing Oklahoma do on a consistent basis.
Let's get to another Game Day Guarantee presented by Omni Barton Creek Resort and Spa. We need to know what quarterback leads in passing yards and how many yards did they put up? Griff, let's start with you.
I'm going to go Spencer Rattler. I'm going to go 256. I just don't – they love to try to run the ball a lot, but again, I just don't think they're going to be able to do that, so they're going to have to try to see what Spencer Rattler can do in the air.
It's going to be Spencer Rattler, and it's going to be a pretty big number, 275. Lincoln Riley lets the guy rip. So let's go air it out. Let's complete some of those deep shots that we struggled on, and it's a big game. He didn't play well in this game last season in his debut. He's got a lot more riding on this.
Emotions are flowing. You know this is going to be Casey's game. There he is right there. I got to go Casey Thompson, 260. He's going to be explosive. They're going to need him to be able to create those big plays, especially on the deep ball, and I think Casey will do that today in this environment.
53 minutes and change away from the kick between Texas and Oklahoma. We'll get you set. We'll have the game predictions coming up later in the show as well. Here's what's next on Texas Game Day. Bad brisket. Woo! Lincoln Riley, what'd you do to that brisket, my man? Are you tough enough, like that brisket by Riley? We'll let you know some of the Texas defenders are. Plus, how a quarterback has changed a family's colors and the Texas OU rivalry.
People know that I bleed crimson and cream, but for these years that my son has been at Texas, and certainly this year, I'm all burnt orange.
I'm a turkey leg guy.
The turkey leg? Oh, turkey leg, for sure.
One of my buddies, Sammy, would always get his mom to bring a turkey leg, and that's what my favorite thing was. I always think those are really good.
No matter what state fair I go to, carnivals, I'm stopping by the turkey leg stand. I'm getting me a turkey leg, and I might take one to go.
The funnel cakes are really good, but I would say the turkey legs are probably my favorite.
Funnel cake. I gotta have a good funnel cake with some ice cream with it. That'd be the best.
Hey, Snacks is gonna get his snacks. Keandra Coburn loves himself some funnel cake. How about it? All right, when it comes to barbecue, it's an art form, right? Not everybody's gonna be Aaron Franklin, but there should be at least a limit to how far this goes in the wrong direction, like Lincoln Riley. I mean, it's a native Texan we're talking about. This is the brisket that he posted online that he made for his family on Easter. It's one thing to make bad brisket, but if you do it, don't post it online.
No, I don't think I've ever had a brisket that was well done.
No. Outside of Bill Miller, no.
You see, I don't see any smoke ring.
Nope.
Like,
and what's up with the way we've chopped it on the left?
Yeah, there's something going on here.
Think you'll make a brisket sandwich?
I don't know. But hey, good try. Good try. Yeah, I would still eat it. I'm not gonna lie.
You'd probably still be chewing on it today.
Yes, it's beef jerky. So that brings us to a new segment just for this Red River rivalry that we like to call Real Tough. So who on Texas is as tough as Lincoln Riley's brisket?
How about this boy, Luke Brockemeyer right here, man? He's been an unbelievable asset for the Texas linebackers so far this season. Has fought through injury, got injured against Arkansas, got injured against TCU, but guess what? He still shows up making plays. And this is the biggest thing that we see from him is he's created a turnover. Almost had another one last week as well, him and Overshawn fighting over, but it still worked out.
Hey, it's getting a little hot in here, so I go on my guy Sweat right here. Sweat has been balling out all season. I mean, I don't think there's not one game that we have not turned on that we just seen the things that he do. Right here, running down the field, making a tackle. Last week versus TCU, I mean, he was just manhandling some of those men that was up there in front of him. So right now, he deserves to get some more playing time. Hopefully today, he's ready to continue to do what he's been doing.
That's the deepest position on the field, though, because you go from Coburn to Sweat to Murphy.
Yeah, it is.
But they all play the same spot.
Hey,
you got to find a way to get them all on the field.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
It's that I formation.
Oh,
Bring that I
Get
formation back
stack of the
and just
Maryland
play
Iron, let
those
'em go.
dudes right there. Well, let's get in overall to the Texas defense, because when you look at the numbers, they can be a little deceiving. Yes, they've allowed some downfield shots, but a lot of those in the Texas Tech game, that was when the game was out of reach. Texas Tech was not coming back to win that game or make it close. But what we have seen them do is identify the strengths of a team and then take those strengths away.
Yeah, that's the one thing, and you're starting to see that they're starting to gel together. They're playing very well together, and like you said, the miscue is that fourth quarter. Yes, the game is out of line, and they're just getting the ball down. So TCU, the 99 yards or whatever, you could pretty much take that away because the game was pretty much over, despite the fact that Bijan had to get the first down. Texas Tech, the game was clearly over. But again, the thing they're doing well is they're bending, but they're not breaking. They're allowing yards when they're getting down there in the red zone. They're keeping guys out. Also, they're doing a great job at tackling, something we have not seen in the past. And you're starting to see them being able to stop the run, and that's the biggest thing. You're making a lot of these teams one-dimensional and putting in their quarterback hands. And a lot of these quarterbacks are not able to do anything when it comes to this Texas defense.
My get with it last week was the secondary that we saw against Texas Tech. We saw against Arkansas. There were deep balls that were completed. And TCU, there was not a completion that was, I guess, of long gain to the effect that we saw against Texas Tech.
Like 20, 25 yarders, but they didn't.
There was nothing really that was just an extremely huge play like that. So seeing the way that the defense responded and they got with it, that's been a huge, I guess, to my psyche and probably just a morale of the defense to know that they know how to get it done.
In the turnovers, that's the biggest
thing.
The turnovers. They're getting the ball back and giving their offense another opportunity.
So 5 takeaways over the past 2 games, one of those being special teams, obviously. But the number that I don't like, and I just looked it up, it wasn't like I noticed it watching these games back saying it's a problem. But when you see that opposing quarterbacks are completing 74% against the Texas defense, that's the worst mark in the Big 12. And now, oh, by the way, Spencer Rattler comes in, who's completing like 79% of his passes.
Yep.
That, to me, is a little bit of a concern in this matchup.
Yeah, and you talked about it, even though, like I said, the deep ball, quarterbacks were, up to this point, they had 100% or 100 QBR rating on balls that were 20-plus yards with, 4 touchdowns and 0 interceptions? Yeah. And that was, like you said, an area of concern, especially with a guy like Spencer Rattler, the weapons that he has. They haven't come alive, but that's not the time frame, or today is not the time frame that you want to see them come alive. So it's still out there as an area of concern, but if they can figure it out, and like Griff said, don't let nobody get behind you, keep that bend but don't break attitude, I think Spencer Rattler will cough the ball up at least once, like he's done in the past 2 games.
And I think also you got to keep in mind, though, it's the pressure on the quarterback. We're not able to generate the pressure. We're able to stop the run, but they're not able to generate the pressure on a consistent basis. So that's also going to keep that in mind. But also keep in mind, in the back half, they play a lot more zone compared to playing a lot of man deep. So you're going to definitely see the holes in it. If you're not going to be able to get pressure, then you're going to have that quarterback the opportunity to be able to escape or whatnot and put it right there in these different holes and stuff in the defense. But again, that's the style of defense that they're playing. They're saying, hey, in order to beat us, you're going to have to go deep. You're going to have to try to beat us deep. But if you want to dink and dunk, and then with our offense being able to put points on the board, you're going to have to get out of this dink and dunk. So I see what they're doing. Yes, that number is there, but at the same time, it's working.
I'm excited to see the linebackers. You know, Overshown's going to be juiced. Big game for him.
Oh, yeah.
Brockemeyer, this is huge, right? His dad being a legend here at the University of Texas. He watched the game from the stands last season as a walk-on. Like he wasn't on the roster, and now he's going to be starting this game. That's an incredible turnaround. And you mentioned the back half, right? Looking at the secondary, they're in a much better spot than a week ago. So Josh Thompson missed last week with a concussion. He'll be back, good to go in this game. Looks like Jahdae Barron could be back to add a little more depth at the corner position. But then you mentioned Darian Dunn, and we talked about this last week. Would we see him more if Thompson was healthy, because you felt like he deserved more PT? Well, Sark said on Monday that even if Thompson was available in the last game against TCU, Dunn has done enough to earn more playing time at corner.
Yeah, he's been doing a tremendous job. But then also, let's keep in mind, Cook also had a great job. He did a great job last week, too. So collectively, like we keep saying, that you don't see the name that just jumps out at you when you look at Osai like last year. But now you're starting to see...
I'd say, though, Overshown is that
But you're saying he is the name, but you're looking at those splash plays, those big, markable plays that mean something, that you need plays. But the thing is, collectively, as a defense, they're playing very well together. They're making a lot of tackles. They're keeping everything in front of them, and that's something that we didn't see in the past. That's something that, especially going into this game with CeeDee Lamb and Hollywood Brown and Kyler Murray and Hurts, we've seen these guys go off when it comes to this secondary and this defense. But lately, we just have not been seeing that. You're seeing Josh Thompson come up making tackles, Darian Dunn, Jamison, Cook getting a sack fumble last week.
Yeah.
Even Jaron Thompson coming in the game. Last year versus K-State, we were like, hey, you're going to have to learn how to tackle. But now he's starting to get the rhythm of it. B.J. Foster. So collectively together, they're playing very well together. Yes, you want to see more, but the question is, it's like, are you being a little bit greedy now that you want to see them, like, come back to the DBU era or whatnot? But right now, they're playing good football to win football games.
Well, that's what I like about Kwiatkowski best, what he's done with the defense. If you prove you can make plays, you're going to get playing time. Remember, Jaron Thompson was a backup week number 1. Now Brendan Schooler hardly plays because Jaron Thompson has shown, I'm the guy that should be playing in this spot.
Yeah, and that's probably the biggest takeaway is you talked about T'Vondre Sweat, a guy that did not get as much playing time coming into the season, being behind Colburn and not having the opportunity. But I think they rotate just as much with each other. I would say they're listed as co-starters now because of the impact that T'Vondre Sweat has. We saw it happen 2 weeks ago with Barron Sorrell, somebody that had no snaps or possibility of probably making an impact on the game. And then 2 weeks ago, he has 5 tackles in the backfield and recorded the most snaps from a defensive lineman. And then you're looking at Darian Dunn now. He's getting an opportunity to really showcase his abilities and have an opportunity
He's nasty,
to step up.
man. Darian Dunn is nasty.
And another thing you look, early in the season, they was rotating the linebackers. And now all of a sudden,
you're right.
It's not as much rotation.
Hey,
we need those two.
Sorry, y'all wasn't doing what we gave you opportunity, and you didn't present yourself. So we're gonna go ahead and roll with the guys that we know they're gonna do. Because last week, Brockemeyer we knew he was banged up. And it's like, hey, your one arm or whatever you got going on is better than what we got that's sitting on the bench right now. So we need you right now, and that's the thing you love about this defense. They're playing very well together.
So on the defensive side, there's a lot of guys that play. When it comes to Sark's offense, there's not a lot of guys that play. They identify the go-to guys, say, hey, from start to finish, you're my guy. Cotton Bowl slowly filling up. We got 40 minutes before kick between Texas and OU. And about that position that doesn't play a lot of guys, the receivers, who needs to step up for Texas to take down Oklahoma. Plus, the story of the Texas quarterback and how he learned from his father's success and mistakes. Thompson Strong for Casey and Charles.
Life is not made in a box. It has its ebb and flows, the ups and downs, the struggles. You got to persevere. It's a deal we call being Thompson Strong.
Texas Game Day, presented by St. David's Healthcare, is brought to you by WinStar World Casino and Resort. It's always a good time.
Welcome back into Texas Game Day. Lowell here with Fozzie and Griff. Time now to talk about Casey Thompson and what's about to go down for him personally and for his entire family. He's going to get the start at quarterback for Texas against OU. Now, I had an opportunity to talk to Casey before he made his first career start against Rice. And I asked him, would there be nerves? He said, I actually have not been nervous since my first varsity game as a freshman in high school. And then without us bringing it up, he brought up Texas OU, and he said, but I don't know in a few weeks how I'll feel playing Oklahoma. Why? Because of the family history. Here's more.
Casey Thompson, this is your time to shine. And Charles Thompson has got Oklahoma back up on top.
Thompson throws to the end zone, caught, touchdown, Texas.
Thompson is a magnificent quarterback.
Plays perfectly by Casey Thompson.
When you were growing up, what were your feelings about the Texas Longhorns?
I obviously never thought that I'd be wearing burnt orange. I mean, any picture probably from whenever I was like 15 or 16, all the way back to when I was born, I probably was wearing some type of red or crimson. Growing up, I despised them. So that's all I knew, and no one had ever taught me any different.
Living here in Oklahoma, you're taught to kind of hate the other side of the Red River. My dream was to play for the Crimson and Cream and Coach Barry Switzer. When I actually got on the field, it's almost like living a fairy tale land.
Thompson's got room. Thompson, touchdown.
Charles Thompson, Casey's dad, ran the Sooners' wishbone with blazing speed. He was just 5'9", 165 pounds, but tough. He led Oklahoma to a #1 ranking in 1987 and helped beat Nebraska in what was dubbed the Game of the Century, too.
When you're a quarterback for the University of Oklahoma, and you got people patting you on the back each and every Saturday. You get this euphoric and this unreal feeling that you're above the law. We were winning. We had a lot of success. You know, I guess you could say we were living on the wild side a little bit, and ultimately, we paid the price for that.
One of the University of Oklahoma's star football players was arrested last night on drug charges.
Charles Thompson was arrested late Monday night after an FBI undercover agent says he bought 17 grams of cocaine from Thompson. He's been kicked out of the university and off the football team.
In April of 1989, Charles Thompson was convicted on one count of conspiracy to distribute cocaine. Suddenly, Charles' career as a Sooner star was finished at age 19. He served 17 months in federal prison, which is where I interviewed him for the first time 31 years ago.
I've made a mistake. I'm going to put the mistake behind me. When I get out of here, I'm going to turn my life around.
Our last long conversation was while you were in prison, part of that 17-month sentence. What was the toughest part of that?
It was about the embarrassment that I brought to the Thompson name, the family name. My father at the time was ill with cancer. And the last moments that he remembered of me is, being on the cover of Sports Illustrated. The last time I spoke to him, I was incarcerated. So that was a tough time, very dark time in my life. If you just get to the other side of it, you'll be amazed what can come of your struggles.
I'll be able to someday have kids of my own and tell them the experiences that I went through. I think that because of that, I've made myself wiser. Someday I'll be able to really sit down and explain what life is all about to kids of my own.
Charles kept that promise to himself. In 1992, 2 years after his release from prison, his son Kendall was born. Casey arrived 6 years later.
What do you think Casey learned from the experiences you've gone through and the way that you shared your story with him?
That, life is not made in a box where you can recreate it. You can, paint it the way you want. It has its ebb and flows, the ups and downs, the struggles. You gotta persevere. It's a deal we call being Thompson strong. It's not always gonna be handed to you. And I think that that's the approach that he's taken the 3 years he's been at the University of Texas.
My dad has done a great job of just preaching patience and just being ready for an opportunity and also staying focused. The experiences that he went through in life, having to deal with adversity, has shaped and helped mold who I am today, and I'm very appreciative for that.
It's approaching kickoff in Dallas. You see Casey running out there in a Texas uniform, getting set to play quarterback against OU. What are you feeling, Charles?
So for me, when it comes to supporting Casey, and when he gets on that field, it's all gas and no brakes. That's why I changed the cap there for you. I'm 100% behind him. I will always love the University of Oklahoma. People know that I bleed crimson and cream. But for these years that my son has been at Texas, and certainly this year, I'm all burnt orange.
I think that it's an amazing story, and it's an incredible story for our family. Blood is thicker than water. So obviously, our blood is thicker than the Red River.
Alex Lowe back out here at the Cotton Bowl, and how ironic is it that the one guy in Texas history, the one starting quarterback to beat Oklahoma 4 straight times in this very stadium, convinced the son of a Sooner to play for Texas. But that is the truth. I talked to Peter Gardere this week. Texas fans may remember him as Peter the Great after he swept the Sooners here at the Cotton Bowl throughout the early 90s. And this is a guy who, after his playing career at Texas, went on to try and make it in the CFL, the Canadian Football League, and he ended up becoming teammates, of course, with Charles Thompson, who we just heard speak. And despite the obvious rivalry, they actually ended up becoming lifelong friends. In fact, Thompson officiated Gardere's wedding a few years ago. Well, fast forward to 2017, and Charles's son, Casey Thompson, is thinking about going to Texas, and they put him in touch with Peter Gardere. Well, according to Casey Thompson, that that was the decision maker. That was the difference in why he ended up playing for the Longhorns. Gardere spoke to him about life after football and said, listen, what if you get injured? What if your playing career is over? What education do you have to fall back on? That's why you should go to Texas. And Casey said after that, his mind was made up. So here we are 4 years after that conversation. Casey has already graduated, which leaves him plenty of time to pour over game film. And as far as Peter's advice to Casey as he gets ready here for his first starting role in a Red River showdown, Peter said, my advice is simple. Slow down, be patient, take what the defense gives you, and don't force the ball downfield. Lowell?
Alex, thank you so much. And it's such a powerful story when it comes to Casey and Charles. We all make mistakes. It's about how you respond from those mistakes, what you do with a second chance, and to see the job that Charles has done raising his two sons. I mean, we see it right now with Casey Thompson. And for him now to see his son that had to persevere, had to wait behind Sam Ehlinger, had to wait for his opportunity when Hudson Card was named the starting quarterback, to all come to fruition. He's getting that opportunity here today.
Yeah, that's what makes it so special, man. The sincere approach that you saw Charles break down with, that honest, just conversation that was held, man. It puts a whole different perspective on what this means to not just Charles, but Casey and the entire family, that Thompson crew, and just seeing the way that Casey handles himself. We see a little bit the same mannerisms of how Charles carried himself after he realized, you know, he messed up, but there's still more to life. And that's kind of what this game of life is all about. You know, this game is going to be here and it means a lot to both universities, but ultimately, you know, the legacy that you leave as a Thompson or as your last name is what's going to stand the most through the history of time.
Yeah, I mean, really, I'm speechless because, again, it's a great story because, again, he was a kid, he was a child. We all make mistakes, you know, and to see what he's done and see Casey, you see where he gets it from. You see where he gets his character from. And it's just a great story to hear and whatnot, and just wish the best for their family.
And there is his dad, Charles, I mean, an Oklahoma legend right there, watching his son now take the field for the Texas Longhorns. That has to be such a interesting dynamic to see unfold. But we all have kids, right? And we understand with our kids playing sports that there's allegiances that you have, but at the end of the day, it's all about what is best for my son.
True.
So I'm sure you guys don't want to say, you know, you would want your boys playing for the other side of the rivalry, but at the end of the day, if that's the best opportunities, you see the shirts, Thompson Strong, that as a father is what you want your kid to pursue.
Hey, if anybody wants to give him a scholarship, you go wherever you want to go. It's free. I mean, that's free. I mean, take it how you want to take it, you know.
25 minutes away from Casey Thompson taking the field for the first time as a starting quarterback in the Red River rivalry. Without a doubt, yep, he is back, he is healthy, and he is a difference maker. We're talking about Jordan Whittington. What can he mean for Texas' win against Oklahoma? And a Red River to remember for Casey Thompson.
Gonna be good. Straightening. Play action. Thompson throws a strike, and Whittington is free into the end zone. Touchdown, Texas.
He comes back the other way. It's Whittington across for the touchdown.
He's physical, and he got speed.
What a grab by Jordan Whittington. Another big play for the Texas offense.
Swings it out right side of Whittington. Inside the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, Texas. Jordan Whittington.
I don't even know what to say. I'm ecstatic. Yeah.
Marvin Washington.
Hey, cannot deny the athleticism. We all wanted to see what would Jordan Whittington be if he could stay healthy. Well, guys, he is healthy. 21 catches, 324 yards, 3 touchdowns. What has he shown you?
I mean, he's shown right now he's a go-to guy, despite the Arkansas game, but he showed that in crucial moments, especially in that slot receiver, you can get him the ball. And now you're starting to see even downfield, he can make the contested catches. But we all know he's a strong runner when he has the ball. So that's the most positive thing about him. But right now, he's been one of the go-to reliable receivers when it comes to his receiving core.
Absolutely. Whenever you give him an opportunity, he's made a big play. And whenever Texas needed a play to be made late against TCU, he got that big snag, and then he scored on the 22-yard RPO dime by Casey Thompson. So in order for Texas to be good, they're going to need to rely on the guy that performed the best in the receiver room last year with 10 catches in this game, Jordan Whittington. He's going to have to be huge.
Yeah, it was his career high against Oklahoma last season. 21 minutes away from Jordan Whittington taking the field against OU. And with Whittington, I don't think there's any doubt at this point, when it is a crucial pass situation, ball is going to him. We saw that first game of the year against Louisiana, all those critical third down passes from Hudson Card, they went his way. But what we have also seen is outside of Whittington, the other receivers, it's kind of been a revolving door. Yeah. Some guys are hot, some guys are cold, some are non-existent, and they're not playing a lot. So it's really down to Whittington, Xavier Worthy, and then Joshua Moore to make the productive plays. Worthy struggled, had a couple of key drops against TCU. How critical, Fozzie, is it that all the receivers, the big three, if you will, are all dialed in for this game?
It's extremely critical, and it's funny that Jordan Whittington highlights was brought back by Migos because they're a three-team group that perform well, and in order for Texas to be able to perform, but in order for Texas to be able to perform at the level that they need this team to perform at, all three of those receivers are going to have to play big. And it starts with Xavier Worthy after Jordan Whittington. It starts with Joshua Moore, who had a slow start to the season up to this point. And I think he has to find a way to find a rhythm, just get going, just get catches and be an impact, because they're going to rely on all three of them guys, just like the Migos.
Honestly, with Joshua Moore, though, this is almost like a put up or move on type of game, because it just hasn't been a slow start. It's been sporadic. Had a great start last season. In between, up until the Alamo Bowl, where he was really good, there wasn't much there. So you're still waiting for him to show you something.
You're still trying to figure it out, because then all of a sudden you start seeing Marcus Washington getting sprinkled in. They're giving him shots. Last week versus TCU, they tried to feed him right there in the red zone. You also saw they tried to give a deep ball versus Tex, which he slipped and fell on the carpet monster. But at the same time, though, you're starting to see that they're trying to sprinkle him in there and there, because we know right now he's pretty much the best blocker when it comes to the receiving core right now. Marcus Washington is. So he's the best blocker when it comes to him. So I'm wondering and curious on if Sarkisian's going to start trying to get him the ball more and start giving him the opportunities more, because, I mean, again, Joshua Moore has had his opportunities, but he's just not producing. Last week, there was a couple of catches here and there, but Marcus Washington seems that you need his value is more because of his blocking. And so the question is, can I get him caught up to speed when it comes to running some more routes and trying to get the ball to him? Because he is the biggest receiver when it comes to all four of them. He's got the most height and probably the most athleticism.
Well, film don't lie, and Joshua Moore is not getting open right now. That brings us to Game Day Guarantee, presented by Omni Barton Creek Resort and Spa. Who's going to be the leading receiver in this game for Texas or OU? So even with everything I just told you about Joshua Moore, it clicks today, and number 6 is going to be your leading receiver. I don't know how he's going to do it. I'm just telling you, he is going to do it to the tune of 115 yards.
For me, I got to go with the pun intended. Without a doubt, it's going to be Jordan Whittington with 78 yards as the leading receiver in this game for both Texas and Oklahoma.
Well, I'm going to have to go to Oklahoma, and I'm going to have to go with Mims, because right now it just seems like he's probably the most consistent guy when it comes to all the receivers collectively on both sides, even though they don't try to drive the ball downfield. But right now it seems like he's the most consistent guy when it comes to the receivers in this game today.
And we've also learned throughout the years you don't have to catch the football to make an impact in this game if you are a tight end. Cade Brewer has only 5 catches on the year. I think of Jeff Swain, the job he did in the blocking game in a win against Oklahoma. that gave him an opportunity to make money in the NFL. And from what you saw from Brewer, he was doing that even though he wasn't active in the passing game against TCU.
Don't forget, Jeff Swain had a touchdown in this game as well.
Yep.
That same importance. But Brewer is unbelievable whenever you're talking about at the point of attack. You want to create some separation, you let him line up and go one-on-one with the DN, and you feel very comfortable that he's going to win that matchup. On this play right here, wrapping inside on that counter play, that's extremely hard to do, but he's able to get there and get it done. And then if you want him out on the edge in the perimeter, he can just take over and does an extremely excellent job at staying on the block. Hat on a hat, that's what you want. Give Bijan space, Bijan to make you right.
Here we go. Cade Brewer involved. Guys, we know it's always a fun time at the Texas State Fair, and it's fun on a Saturday just enjoying the day, enjoying the game. You need a cold beverage as well. So Texas fans, it's time to put your horns up, limes in. Scan the QR code on the screen to shop Corona delivery or pickup. Getting after it at the Texas State Fair. Bevo 15. Hey, this guy's ready to go. Coming up on Texas Game Day, it's time to get with it. Oh, yeah. Who's on watch? It looks like it's Casey Thompson in those deep shots again. We'll find out. And the quarterbacks, it's Thompson against that man, Spencer Rattler. Who do you want with the game on the line between these two studs?
Out of the shotgun. Marcus Johnson goes in motion. They'll hand him the ball, trying to turn the corner. A stiff arm down to the 20. Marcus Johnson inside the 15, the 10, 5. Touchdown, Texas! Texas beat the 10th-ranked Oklahoma Sooners.
Mayfield looking for him again. He's got it, and he's got speed. Watch out! D.D. Westbrook again! His third touchdown. Oklahoma holds on. Here's Mayfield. Been hopeful, wide open and complete. Mark Andrews, 59 yards. Oklahoma wins the Red River rivalry.
Good snap and hold. The kick on its way, and the kick is good. It's good. Dicker, the kicker, comes through. The Longhorns have won the AT&T Red River Showdown. Murray for the shotgun with the snap back to throw. Lofson in the end zone for Calcaterra. He made a one-handed catch for a touchdown. My goodness, what a catch by Grant Calcaterra. And that's going to do it. The Oklahoma Sooners win the Big 12 Conference Championship. Jalen Hurts with the snap and pulls it back. Play action with time. Kinsey throws downfield. Pass is caught inside the 10 to the 5. And into the end zone for an Oklahoma touchdown, CeeDee Lamb. Final score this afternoon, the Oklahoma Sooners 34, the Texas Longhorns 27. Shotgun snap back to Ellinger. Sam looking, throws it for the end zone, and it's intercepted in the end zone. And that will end it. Oklahoma wins it in 4 overtimes, 53-45.
6 of the past 7 matchups between Texas and OU have come down to one possession, which is ridiculous considering that Oklahoma has been on a different level than Texas. Just lets you know how both these teams get up for this game. And according to ESPN FPI, this is the second highest leverage game in terms of teams advancing to the college football playoff this season. Oklahoma and Texas leverage percentage 24%. Only Ohio State and Michigan has a higher leverage ranking. All right, let's get into this matchup. When it comes to quarterback play, always a big part with two great programs producing quarterbacks here. Casey Thompson, it's his first time out in this rivalry. What does he have to do to help Texas win?
He has to be dynamic. You know, you got to make plays, and Griff already talked about it, but he was able to make a play against TCU with his legs. And sometimes being dynamic doesn't mean you have to throw the ball 200, 600, 400 yards pass or have 6 touchdowns, but just making a play, picking up the first down, staying on schedule. And that play he made where he ran the ball for a large gain was something that created energy about Texas's offense against TCU that allowed him to get that first touchdown on the board?
I would say continue doing the things he's been doing, a.k.a. take care of the ball. That's the one thing that we've seen, that he does take care of the ball. We knew that he did throw an interception versus TCU right before half. We also know that he threw an interception versus Tech, that he was trying to make a play. But again, he protects the ball in crucial moments, and that's the one thing that he has to continue to do, is protect the ball. And if he does that, I think that he just puts his team in a better situation to win this ball game.
All right, Foz, you ready to get with it?
Let's do it, baby.
All right, Texas football, you're on watch.
Y'all got to get with it. The deep shots, I referenced it earlier. They have to find a way to connect. This is the first offensive snap, and Sark wants to go for the jugular, but for whatever reason, Texas has not found a way to get this man the ball, Joshua Moore, and they have not been able to find a way to get those completions past 20 yards downfield. How about this second opportunity? Here's Xavier Worthy, a huge first down pickup right here if he comes down with it, and for whatever reason, he just can't hang on to it. And then here's another opportunity where we're right before half. Griff talked about being very aggressive. He throws into triple coverage, probably one of his worst throws in decision-making as a quarterback, but there was a little tug on Xavier Worthy that provided this leverage to look the way that it did. And then here we are, first play of the fourth quarter. He's feeling pressure in the pocket. He has to step into it, but can't really get enough legs behind it to throw it more accurately. Misses Xavier Worthy in the end zone. They just have not found a way to get it done on the deep ball. Right now, Casey's at a 10 QBR rating. That's not going to get it done. And if they want to find success, they have an opportunity to do it here against Oklahoma today.
And that brings us to Inside the Stats, presented by our friends at thezebra.com. And these are the stats for those throws, 20 yards downfield. Neither quarterback has been great, but when you watch both guys, they are so close to hitting on these deep shots.
Oh, yeah.
Man, it's right there.
They're right there, but again, it's just saying that we talked about it. The quarterbacks are capable of doing it, but in the past, you've seen the receivers that was able to make these plays, and I think that's right now is what's holding both of these quarterbacks right now, is just the go-to guy when it comes down to the deep ball, and I think right now that's where they're struggling at.
I'm fired up. You guys fired up?
Let's do it, baby.
Oh, man, the show band is out on the field, or is that the OU band? No, that's the other one. We need the show band out there. This is what we always do, right? Get Smokey fired up, and Boomer Sooner, take that. Firing it right through the jersey. Yep. Good to go. Who wins the game? Find out coming up. The Longhorn Network is now in the house. Hey, welcome to the state capital, Austin, Texas. I'm Lord Lindo here with Kevin Dunn. We got a lot of fun coming up over the next 2 hours. Senior leader Fozzie Whitaker.
This looks like a blown-up caterpillar.
I'm also with an 8.
Wow, we're on the same page here.
Yeah. Look at this catch-up.
Oh, LG in traffic.
You buying that? You flip the coin.
That will do it for this edition of the 40, this year-ending edition of the...
And this has been Game Plan. Thank you so much for coming.
You can have the show next year, by the way, Dean.
And Lowell Galindo was still a little angry.
This was a fun season, Coach. Thanks so much for sharing all your time, all your thoughts on this program throughout the year.
It's been a pleasure. Really appreciate your presence in our program. You mean a lot to us.
Welcome. Hello and welcome to Texas Game Day. Wait, this is like a man walking on the moon. Oh my Lord! Can live television get better than that? No! And we're back.
What do we got here? What's
here?
These are my acorns. I'm a man. I'm 40. Come after me. Why are we zooming in on me, man? Why are we zooming in on me? That's not right. Oh. You okay? Yeah.
Turn it!
Oh, man.
Happy birthday.
LG.
There you go. Special,
Thank you,
special,
guys.
you know.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Oh,
You-
no! It's not working! As long as there's no aliens involved, I'm good, man.
Hey,
That's my bugaboo. I can't deal with that.
So yesterday, while you was telling me I was wrong on my my whole thing. I had to run to GG's and get you some.
These are GG's.
These are GG's. So I had to run to GG's.
Amazing.
GG's
Custom made.
BKs.
Custom made.
You might not want the strawberry one because that candle been burning for so long.
It's all good. It's all good. But honestly,
extra flavor.
Honestly, I'm not a birthday guy, so I appreciate that little piece there. And I love everybody that we work with here. I've had so much fun. I'm now an old man, been here a long time, but every day is a new adventure, and I love you guys. I love you too. This has been the most enjoyable crew to work with, having you, Griff, and you, Fozzie, on game day. I think we just got this great vibe going, so I appreciate it, and I love everybody. It's all happiness. What are we doing now? Okay. Here's the Big 12 slate presented by Dr. Pepper after the Love Fest is done. We got West Virginia and Baylor also kicking off at 11 a.m. Central Time. Good luck for them getting any attention at all with Texas and OU. And then late tonight, TCU and Texas Tech. And we'll see how the Red Raiders have done. I mean, they bounced back from the loss against Texas. They looked pretty good last week. West Virginia is also one of those teams that they've played everybody tough. And Baylor, they're coming off the loss against Oklahoma State, how they respond. And Oklahoma State, the team that's still undefeated right now. Now we see the show band on the field.
There they are.
So we got some good flavor out there in the Cotton Bowl. Guys, the thing that's so intriguing about this matchup to me is it is the next chapter in the Texas-OU rivalry, the beginning of now the separation from the Big 12 and taking this rivalry into the SEC. And for as much as these programs like to butt heads, we've realized through this process there is great synergy between Texas and Oklahoma.
I mean, most definitely. Right now, this is like a glimpse of what you're going to see in the future, but it's going to be for the SEC, not the Big 12. So this is definitely going to be one of those games that everybody who's in the SEC is watching is like, okay, let's see what these teams are really about. Let's see how they compete against one another. So definitely, 11 o'clock game spelled on a Saturday, beautiful day. This is going to be a lot of people going to be watching.
The best game literally in the world to me. This game right here, it has everything. The fanfare, the pageantry, the fair, the food, everything that you want. Great football, and I think this is obviously the best atmosphere that you can play in, and the opportunity to have played in it obviously was an honor, but still getting to cover it and see it and witness it, man, it is so cool and fun. So best atmosphere in the world in my mind.
They got to get everybody through the gate, though. They got to get everybody in, so you got that split down the 50.
They're going to miss the kickoff.
They may at this
absolutely.
point in time.
Absolutely.
It's also interesting to see what ultimately becomes of this rivalry. We know it will take place, but there has been some buzz if it now goes to campus and campus. And to me, why move it? Like, why mess with the great thing? And that's even the talks when it was about them going to AT&T Stadium, right? Like, I know it's got all the bells and whistles, and to an extent, the Cotton Bowl's a dump. We all know that, but it's our dump, right? It's historic.
I mean, it's definitely historic. It's definitely historic.
No, the field is good, too. The field is good.
Keep it there. They do a good job with it. All right, give them the golden hat. Who's going to take it, Texas or OU? We're taking our pick next on Texas Game Day.
Gas, 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 gas. Unleaded, untethered, unfettered, fast. I'm ready, confident, confident. Gas, 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 gas.
Looks to throw, hit, ball loose, and it goes back over to Texas on the turnover.
Thompson taking a shot, got a receiver there, and what a grab by Jordan Whittington. Robinson slips a couple tackles, drives forward, and what a run. He just won the game.
That's what we do, man.
Red River rivalry. It's a huge game. It's Texas versus OU, two of the top teams in the Big 12. They're going at it.
I mean, it would really be huge for our state, our city, and our team to get the win, so we had a bragging right for the rest of the year.
For me, it's just a dream come true to play and start in this game.
Nitrogen so I could win some, yeah. It's like I'm more turned up than motorcycle engines, yeah. They got moves, I got juice. They got tools, I got juice. They got a ring, I got deuce. I'm the Maverick and the Goose. I'm no Tom, but I cruise. I'm no Wayne, but I bruise. Engine thunder, that shit frightening, grease. Lighting out the Zeus.
Texas Game Day is presented by St. David's Healthcare. The best is here. And in part by thezebra.com. Compare and save at thezebra.com. And Yeti, built for the wild.
Let everybody talk right now. Tell me what you want right now. You could get it. Yeah. Well, you can get it. Yeah. Yeah, you can get it. Tell me what you want and I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm not giving up. Come on, we got nothing left to lose. I've been here from the start. You know I'm not going anywhere. I don't give a. Tell me what you want. You can get it.
Yeah, I guess we should apologize to regular producer Andy Wall for locking her out of the meeting room.
I had nothing to do with that.
You had everything to do with that.
It was your plan.
It was Fozzie's. Yes.
Your Knuckles and your Sonic and Tails. It was your.
Sonic is the ringleader. It's Lowell's birthday. That's what he wanted to do. We just filled out his birthday wishes.
There we go. That man's got a hat. It's not the golden hat, but still looks good. Rocking the burnt orange. The Texas and OU straps. Let's go. That could be a new record.
Strapped in.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
12.
That's 12. I don't know.
It's not showing.
I don't know.
Come on, cameraman.
That's got to be a new record, though. Whew.
He's a little strapped in, though.
Man, locked in. Keelan Robinson's looking good. I want to see if they get more touches for Keelan Robinson.
I would
How
love
they
to
get
see
him
that.
a little bit more involved.
Hey, put him at the receivers.
Oh, he got 2 straps on the leg. Yeah, right in the white.
I think he got some more, too.
Here comes OU. So every year they get to run out of that tunnel and they hear their fans spurring them on. Not so much when Texas comes out of that tunnel. This is what it's all about right here. And there's relevance. This is a huge opportunity for Sark, for Casey Thompson. They win this game. They are right in the thick of the Big 12 championship race, at least starting to get in the conversation of the college football playoff talk as well. Guys, when it comes down to it, though, what's going to be key? Let's go through the keys to the game as we're waiting on the coin toss here. Fozzie, what does Texas need to do?
Yeah, they still got to protect Casey in the pocket. Whenever you look at this defensive front for Oklahoma, they have almost 10 sacks with the 3 guys up front in Winfrey, Bonito, and Isaiah Thomas. So being able to protect Casey in the pocket will be the key to the game in order for this Texas offense to create those big splash explosive plays like what they did right there with Jordan Whittington in the air.
That's the one thing that Texas needs to continue to do is prevent the explosive plays. That's what they did last week, prevent the explosive plays. And if they want to win this ball game, you got to make sure that Spencer Rattler does not go off.
Yep.
And you got to prevent those explosive plays. We know in the past, we saw Kyler Murray in the fourth quarter, got him right back in the game. Jalen Hurts was able to use his legs. That's the type of play that you don't want Spencer Rattler to be able to come out here and start be more explosive in this game.
And look at Sark. Locked in, leading his Texas Longhorns out on the field. He loves the pomp around this game, all the festivities. He loves college football, loves the history of games like this, knows what he's getting into. A slap on the pads there to Casey Thompson, and it is go time. Woo! What is this moment like, Father?
Man, I just got chills, and I'm not even there, bro. Oh, my gosh. You get booed coming out because you're always coming out of the tunnel that Oklahoma side is on, and you just, man, you feed on it, you thrive, and then as soon as you cross that 50-yard line, man, it's like you hear the eruption of noise, and you just, oh, man, it is so awesome. Oh.
Well, let's get into it now. The last game day guarantee presented by Omni Barton Creek Resort and Spa as Texas wins the toss. We need to know who takes this game. Fozzie.
Man, I feel bad for saying this, and this is probably the first time I've gone against Texas, but I think up front, Oklahoma just has it right now. Oklahoma 35, Texas 31, and I don't feel good about it.
Oh, man. Well, you know what, Fozzie? I'm going to have to go with you because we're playing the game, and I'm going to have to go OU 28-24. After what I saw versus Arkansas, I just don't know if Texas is ready for that hostile environment again. So going 28-24.
If Sark is the guy, he wins this game. And Sark is the guy. So Texas wins this football game. Give me the Longhorns 35-28. The statement that we've been waiting for Steve Sarkisian. He will put his stamp on this Texas program in this rivalry. We're not going to declare Texas is back after the win, but it will be declared with the way they play, and this changes everything. So give Texas that golden hat, and it's going to be time to celebrate. Woo. Griff, these moments, moments right before kick.
Hey, man,
so different.
I'm telling you, it doesn't matter what you say. You're literally nervous. You got all that jitter going until that first, if you're on special teams or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah.
That first hit, and then you see what it's all about. Because right now, everybody's going to start this game off with just jitters, and they're just going to be flying. But then it comes to the point where, all right, we got to take the emotion out and be mental, be strategic when it comes in this game.
It's the only game day guarantee that I want to lose, by the way. So just throwing it out there.
Still out there. Well, then change your pick.
I can't.
You can't. Once it goes down in the rundown, it's over.
It's over.
There's Jamison. There is Casey. Casey ready for his moment. I don't know if the nerves are still there. 11 is ready to go. It's Texas and OU. We'll see you after the game on Texas Game Day Final.
North to south as you picture it in your mind's eye across your radio dial, and Oklahoma will kick off from our right to our left.